All right, so NFL Week 18.
Buckle up.
Yeah, buckle up. It was a wild one. We've got a ton of game summaries to unpack, and
Yeah.
I think some of these are going to really surprise you. We're talking like rookie records being shattered, backup QBs pulling off miracle
Oh,
wins.
yeah. I love a good underdog story.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And even a team snapping a losing streak that felt like it was going to last forever. I mean, you wanted upsets.
Yeah.
Week 18 delivered big time. Several teams totally defied expectations,
Right.
shook up that playoff picture. And now I'm sitting here like,
No.
who's the real threat going into the playoffs?
It's amazing how much was still up in the air going into this last week of the regular season.
Right.
You had playoff spots still up for grabs. Seeding could make or break a team's chances.
Oh, yeah.
And even some division titles weren't settled yet.
Yeah.
So that just added this whole other level of intensity
Right.
to games that were already crazy high pressure.
Exactly. All right, so let's jump right into the AFC North, where the Ravens hosted the Browns. The Ravens just destroyed them 35-10, and they locked down that AFC North title. What really stood out to me wasn't just the win, but how they won. I mean, their red zone efficiency was incredible, and Lamar Jackson was back.
Yeah.
He was back with a vengeance, making plays in the air on the ground.
Right.
That kind of dual threat is what makes them a serious Super Bowl contender.
Oh, for sure. Having Lamar Jackson back in the lineup changes the whole game for the Ravens.
Right.
But, we can't forget about Derrick Henry either.
Right.
He was like a battering ram out there just wearing down the Browns' defense.
Yeah.
And then on top of all that, they even score on defense with that Nate Wiggins' pick six in the first quarter.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost unfair when a team can generate points on both sides of the ball like that.
Okay, so the Bengals game, that was a nail-biter. They squeaked by the Steelers 19-17.
Barely.
But hey, a win's a win, especially when it keeps those playoff hopes alive. Burrow, he started strong, but things got a little messy in the red zone.
Yeah.
They just couldn't convert those opportunities into touchdowns, and that's why the game was way closer than it should have been.
Right? I mean, the Bengals, they definitely have some things to work on if they want to make a deep run in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But can we talk about Jamar Chase for a second?
Oh, yeah.
The guy just broke the record for receiving yards and touchdowns in a single season.
It's insane.
It's amazing to see a player reach that level of dominance. I mean, especially this early in his career.
Yeah.
He's a nightmare for any defense.
And speaking of nightmares for defenses, Trey Hendrickson on that Bengals D-line,
Oh, yeah.
he was a beast, racking up 3.5 sacks, just terrorizing the Steelers quarterback.
Right.
This guy's been a force all season long.
He has. And the Jaguars, they needed overtime, too. But for them, it actually clinched a playoff spot. They edged out the Colts 27-24.
Nice.
And it all came down to Tank Bigsby's game-winning touchdown run in OT. Talk about a clutch performance.
Oh, yeah, you gotta love those overtime thrillers. And while we're talking about teams pulling off wins, the Commanders, they snagged a playoff berth with a 23-19 victory over the Cowboys.
They did.
How about that?
And, Marcus Mariota really stepped up in this one. Jaden Daniels went down with an injury, and Mariota came in through the game-winning touchdown pass. Yeah. Talk about clutch.
It's gotta feel amazing for a backup QB. But, maybe the biggest upset of the week came from the Chicago Bears.
Oh, yeah.
They finally, after what felt like an eternity, broke their 11-game losing streak against the Packers with a 24-22 win.
Wow. What a statement win for the Bears.
It really was.
I mean, that Josh Blackwell 94-yard punt return for a touchdown was incredible.
Oh, yeah.
And then Cairo Santos nailing that game-winning field goal.
Yeah.
They played with so much heart.
They did. All right, now down south, the Buccaneers, they locked up the NFC South title with a 27-19 win over the Saints.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield's mobility was a big factor in that one.
Yeah.
He was dodging defenders left and right, making plays happen. And how about Mike Evans?
Oh, yeah.
The guy exceeded 1,000 receiving yards for the 11th straight season.
11.
11. That kind of consistency at this level is almost unheard of.
It really is. 11 straight 1,000-yard seasons is incredible.
Right.
But, do you think he's lost a step? Could this be his last hurrah with Brady potentially retiring?
That's a good question. And it'll be really interesting to see how Evans performs without Brady, if that's how things go.
Yeah.
But right now, he's still a major force to be reckoned with.
All right, now get this. The Patriots, they pulled off a 23-16 upset against the Bills, even though Buffalo was resting a lot of their starters.
Yeah.
I did not see that coming.
It makes you wonder if the Bills maybe made the wrong call resting those key players. But hey, you got to give the Patriots credit.
Right.
They took advantage of the opportunity, and Joe Milton III, he really stepped up.
Yeah.
And even with limited playing time, James Cook tied the Bills' franchise record for rushing touchdowns in a season.
Records were falling all over the place in Week 18, and speaking of records, the Chargers, they punched their ticket to the playoffs with a convincing 34-20 win over the Raiders. Justin Herbert, he was in command just picking apart that Raiders defense.
Yeah.
And Quentin Johnston, he had himself a breakout game, 13 receptions for 186 yards. The kid's a playmaker.
He is. He's explosive. But can he be consistent in the playoffs? We saw some drops from him earlier this season. It'll be interesting to see if he can rise to the occasion when the pressure's on.
Out west, the Cardinals shocked everybody, crushing the 49ers, 47-24. I mean, they were playing like they had nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray, he threw 4 touchdown passes.
Nice.
And Tony Jones Jr. had a 46-yard touchdown run. It was a reminder that even teams that are out of the playoff hunt can still pull off some big wins.
Right. That's what I love about the NFL. You just never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And speaking of surprises, how about the Broncos shutting out the Chiefs 38-0?
I was blown away by that Broncos shutout. I mean, they've been so up and down this year. Was that win a fluke, or are they a legit contender now?
I think a lot of people underestimated the Broncos. They have a ton of talent on both sides of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And Bo Nix, he's really started to come into his own. He was almost perfect in that game against the Chiefs. This win was huge for the Broncos, especially after all the injuries they've dealt with. It shows the potential of their young core, and more importantly, it snapped their playoff drought.
I did.
This could be the spark they needed to make a real run in the postseason.
Talk about ending the season on a high note. And finally, we had the Seahawks closing things out with a 30-25 nail-biter over the Rams.
Oh, yeah.
Geno Smith had a career day,
Yeah.
throwing 4 touchdowns.
Definable.
And Noah Fant snagged that game-winning catch in the final minutes. It was the perfect ending to a wild and unpredictable regular season.
It really was. The NFC West is always a battle, and this game was no exception.
Yeah.
The Rams, they fought hard,
Yeah.
but the Seahawks just had a little more firepower on that day.
Whew. Okay, that was a lot of football.
I know, right?
If you're keeping score at home, you probably need a new notepad by now. But seriously, Week 18 was jam-packed with action. We saw incredible performances, unexpected upsets, playoff dreams realized and crushed.
For sure.
It was everything we love about the NFL.
Absolutely. What's really crazy is that with all this chaos in Week 18, the AFC playoff picture is wide open.
Yeah.
I mean, several teams like the Chargers, the Bills, and even the Broncos,
Right.
they all have a legitimate shot at the Super Bowl.
The AFC is going to be a bloodbath. You mentioned the Broncos, and I'm still kind of reeling from their shutout against the Chiefs.
Yeah.
But they've been so inconsistent all season. I got to know, do you really think they're a contender now? Or was that win just a fluke?
Well, it's tough to just dismiss a 38-0 win, especially against a powerhouse like the Chiefs. I mean,
Right.
Bo Nix, he played with so much confidence, and their defense completely shut down Mahomes. Yeah. It was a statement win for sure.
Yeah, it really was.
Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned earlier that you love a good underdog story.
Well, I do.
Well, the Commanders snagging that playoff berth is a testament to their resilience.
Yeah.
I mean, they faced so much adversity this season, but they never gave up.
Exactly. They've been on a mission, and Marcus Mariota's performance against the Cowboys, that was truly inspiring. Coming in for an injured Daniels and leading them to victory, you can't write that kind of drama.
All right, let's talk about some of those individual performances that just blew us away in Week 18. Where do we even begin? I mean, I was floored by Dameon Pierce's game against the Titans.
Oh, yeah.
176 rushing yards.
Wow.
That's insane.
That's huge.
And that 92-yard touchdown run,
Oh, yeah.
dude, was unstoppable.
Yeah, Pierce's 176 yards really shows you just how explosive he can be. He just wore down that Titans defense with his running style.
Yeah.
And speaking of running backs, Miles Sanders for the Eagles, he had another solid game.
Oh, yeah.
95 yards and that crucial fourth-quarter touchdown.
He's Mr. Reliable, for sure. That Eagles offense just clicks when he's got the ball.
Yeah.
But you know who really stole the show for me?
Who was done? Oh, yeah.
5 touchdowns against the Falcons.
5.
The kid is electric.
Young's ability to extend plays was on full display in the third quarter when he scrambled out of the pocket and threw a pinpoint touchdown pass while he was on the run. He's not just a pocket passer. He can make things happen even when the play breaks down. And that's what makes him so dangerous.
And on the receiving end, Jamar Chase breaking that receiving yards and touchdowns record. It's hard to believe a player can achieve that so early in their career.
It really is. It's mind-boggling. He and Burrow, they have this almost telepathic connection.
Yeah.
And how about Quentin Johnston's breakout game for the Chargers? 13 catches for 186 yards.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, are we witnessing the birth of a superstar?
He's got the potential for sure, but the
Mm.
playoffs are a whole different animal. We'll
Well,
see if he can handle the pressure.
yeah,
And speaking of pressure, Mike Evans reaching 1,000 receiving yards for the 11th season in a row?
right.
Come on, that's just ridiculous.
Evans is a future Hall of Famer, and he proved it once again. He's such a reliable target for Brady, and his consistency is unmatched.
Okay, so let's shift gears a little bit and talk about the guys on the other side of the ball. Trey Hendrickson with 3.5 sacks for the Bengals. He was like a one-man wrecking crew out there.
Yeah, Henderson's been a nightmare for quarterbacks all season.
Mm-hmm.
He's got this crazy combination of speed and power that makes him almost impossible to block.
Right.
And Quincy Williams, he was all over the field for the Jets. He was a huge part of their upset win over the Dolphins.
Okay, so we saw some interesting coaching decisions in Week 18, especially with those playoff implications on the line. Some coaches rested their starters, while others went all out to win, even if they were already locked into a playoff spot. What did you make of that?
Well, that's a tough call.
Yeah.
Resting your starters can help prevent injuries and make sure they're fresh for the playoffs, but it can also mess with the team's rhythm and momentum. The Bills, for example, they rested Josh Allen for most of the game against the Patriots,
Right.
and they ended up losing.
It totally backfired on them. The Patriots took full advantage of that opportunity. But, it was a smart move by Belichick to rest his starters.
Yeah.
It's a long season, and those guys need a break.
It's a gamble either way. Coaches have to weigh the risks and rewards and make the decision they think is best for their team.
All right, so let's look ahead to the playoffs. Are there any teams that you see as clear favorites, or is it still too early to tell?
Well, the playoffs are always unpredictable,
Yeah.
but there are definitely some teams that stand out. The Ravens, with Lamar Jackson back in the lineup,
Yeah.
they look really dangerous. Their offense is explosive, and their defense is stifling.
I agree. The Ravens are definitely the team to beat in the AFC, but the Eagles shouldn't be overlooked either. Jalen Hurts has been playing at an MVP level, and their defense is no joke. They could definitely make a deep run.
And then there's the Lions. They've been the surprise team of the year. Their offense is so much fun to watch, and their defense is finally starting to click. Could this be their year?
I wouldn't count them out, that's for sure. But they're going to have to prove they can handle the pressure of the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's a whole different bowl game.
No doubt about it. But if they can keep their momentum going, they could be a real threat.
The NFC is shaping up to be a real slugfest. The Buccaneers, even with their inconsistencies, you can't count them out.
Right.
They've got Tom Brady, and he knows how to win in the playoffs.
And the Rams, despite their Week 18 loss, they're always tough in the playoffs. They've got the experience and the talent to make a run.
So many contenders, so many possibilities. Are there any specific matchups you're excited about?
Oh, there are a few that I'm already looking forward to. A potential Bills-Chiefs rematch.
Oh, yeah.
That would be an instant classic. Two high-powered offenses going head-to-head. It doesn't get much better than that.
I'm with you on that one.
Yep.
I'd also love to see the Eagles and the Buccaneers go at it. Jalen Hurts versus Tom Brady.
Oh, yeah.
That would be a battle for the ages. Youth versus experience, two completely different styles of play.
And how about a potential Lions-Rams showdown?
Oh, yeah.
That would be a clash of styles. The Lions' high-flying offense against the Rams' stifling defense.
Yeah, and we can't forget about those underdog stories. The Commanders, with Marcus Mariota at the helm, they could surprise a lot of people. And the Broncos, after that incredible shutout against the Chiefs, they might just be the hottest team going into the playoffs.
And don't forget about the Jaguars.
Oh, yeah.
They've got a young, hungry team, and they're playing with a lot of confidence right now. They could be a real sleeper pick in the AFC.
So many possibilities, almost overwhelming.
That's the beauty of the NFL playoffs.
Yeah.
Anything can happen.
Yeah.
I mean, we've already seen so many upsets and unexpected twists this season. And I have a feeling the playoffs are going to be even crazier.
That's what keeps us coming back for more year after year.
Exactly.
All right, so we've talked about all the action on the field, the playoff picture, the breakout stars, the shocking upsets.
Right.
Now let's tackle something that might not be as exciting as a game-winning touchdown, but is just as crucial, the NFL salary cap. It's like this giant puzzle that teams have to solve every year.
Right.
They're trying to fit all these superstar salaries under a fixed limit.
Yeah, it's a constant balancing act for general managers.
Yeah.
Trying to find that sweet spot between having top-tier talent
Right.
and the reality of the salary cap. And this year, the cap's projected to be around $250 million,
Wow.
which means some teams are going to have to make some really, really tough decisions.
We've already seen some big names hit the free agency market. Guys who were considered like franchise cornerstones just a couple seasons ago.
I know.
It's crazy how quickly things can change in the NFL.
Yeah.
So who are some of the free agents you're keeping an eye on? The ones who could really shake things up depending on where they land?
Well, quarterbacks like Derek Carr and Jimmy Garoppolo,
Okay.
they're both proven veterans, and they're always teams looking for a solid quarterback.
Right.
And then you've got guys like wide receiver Keenan Allen,
Yeah.
linebacker Levante David.
Okay.
They might not be the flashiest names, but they're solid, consistent players who can make a real impact for a contender.
Yeah, it's going to be a feeding frenzy when free agency opens up. Teams with cap space are going to be throwing money around like it's going out of style.
Right.
And the teams that are strapped for cash, they're going to have to get creative.
Exactly.
It's almost as exciting as the draft.
And speaking of the draft,
Yeah.
teams have to factor that into their salary cap calculations as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, they might be hesitant to spend big on a certain position if they think they can snag a talented rookie in the draft.
Right.
It's all about strategy, and general managers have to be thinking several steps ahead.
So let's break it down. What are some of the tricks of the trade?
Yeah.
Those strategies that teams use to kind of maneuver around the salary cap and make the most of their resources?
Well, one of the most common tactics is restructuring contracts.
Okay.
So that involves converting some of a player's base salary into a signing bonus,
Yeah.
which spreads a cap hit out over multiple years.
Oh, so it's kind of like kicking the can down the road a little bit.
Exactly. But it can free up some much-needed space in the short term.
Right. So you buy yourself some time, but you're still going to have to pay the piper eventually. Yeah.
Exactly. Another option is using the franchise tag.
Okay.
This allows a team to keep a key player for 1 year at a predetermined salary.
Right.
But it's expensive, and it doesn't always guarantee that the player will stay with the team long term.
So it's a high risk, high reward kind of move.
Absolutely. And then there are trades. Teams can create cap space by trading away players with big contracts, but they also risk losing valuable talent. It's a gamble, but sometimes you got to make tough choices.
It's like a game of chess where every move has consequences.
Right.
So looking ahead to the offseason, which teams do you think are in the best position to navigate the salary cap and build a championship caliber roster?
Well, the Bengals, the Dolphins, and the Bears, they're projected to have a good amount of cap space.
Right.
So that gives them a lot of flexibility to go after those top free agents or make some big trades.
But you don't necessarily need a ton of cap space to make smart moves.
Right.
I mean, the Patriots, they've consistently been one of the best managed teams in the league.
Yeah.
And they rarely make a big splash in free agency.
True.
They focus on drafting well and developing their own players.
Right.
And it's worked wonders for them.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
It's not just about spending money. It's about spending it wisely.
Right.
You have to find those players who fit your scheme, your culture, and your budget.
Yeah.
You need those role players, those unsung heroes who might not get the headlines, but are essential to a team's success.
It's about building a complete team, not just collecting a bunch of stars.
Exactly. And remember, the salary cap isn't static. It's constantly changing. Teams have to be adaptable and creative to stay ahead of the curve.
So as you're evaluating all these off-season moves, what are the key questions you're asking yourself? What are the red flags that tell you a team might be making a mistake?
For me, it comes down to value and sustainability.
Mm-hmm.
Did they overpay for a player? Are they sacrificing long-term stability for short-term gains?
Yeah.
Are they creating a culture where players want to stay and compete for championships?
Those are great points. It's easy to get caught up in the hype of free agency
Oh, yeah.
and make some impulsive decisions.
Yeah.
But the best teams are patient and disciplined. They stick to their plan and build for the future.
And that's what makes the NFL offseason so fascinating. It's like a chess match where every move has consequences. The decisions teams make now will have ripple effects for years to come.
Well, we've taken you on quite a journey today, from the heart-stopping moments of Week 18 to the strategic intricacies of the salary cap.
Yeah, we have.
We've celebrated the triumphs, analyzed the upsets, and explored the business side of the game.
The NFL is constantly evolving, constantly surprising us.
And that's why we love it. The unpredictability, the passion, the drama.
Absolutely.
It's unlike anything else in the world of sports.
We've only scratched the surface, but hopefully this deep dive has given you a better understanding of the NFL landscape and the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead.
So as you continue to follow the NFL, keep your eyes peeled for those under-the-radar moves.
Yeah.
Those hidden gems that could make all the difference.
Because in the NFL, anything is possible.
That's a wrap on our deep dive into NFL Week 18 and a look ahead to the exciting offseason that awaits.
Thanks for joining us on this wild ride. We'll be back soon with more insights and analysis as the NFL story unfolds. Until then, stay tuned and stay passionate about the game we all love.